I believe Eric and Lyle Menendez are telling the truth, that their story of molestation is genuine. I've interviewed over 400 people in the course of my 4.5 years of research on this story, and I have other independent corroboration outside of the trial testimony that supports their stories.
Bob Rand did discover one other person who said Lyle Menendez had talked about sexual abuse before he was arrested. Donovan Goodreau. He was a roommate of Lyle's at Princeton. In a taped interview that's never been heard before, Goodreau tells Rand about the conversations.
The one person who would know something isn't here to defend himself.
No, see, the reason he told me that, he did tell me a lot of things about, his father's stuff and that, but it's like, but I always thought he was doing it to lure me into maybe believing his objectives, but he never told me why he was doing it, why he was telling me. It didn't make sense until afterwards. You know what I'm saying? He told me a lot about their past and stuff, and it was similar to my past. I was molested as a child, and I told him that, and I guess that opened the gate. He told me, and it was like, wow. Lyle and his brother were molested.
The trouble is, when Goodreau took the witness stand, he denied the conversation ever took place. When a tape was played for him, he said he still didn't remember.
So you still have no memory of that conversation with Mr. Rand?
No, I don't.
Are you saying that that conversation never took place?
No, it obviously took place. I just don't remember the conversation.
Do you recognize your voice?
Yes, I do.
That is your voice?
Yes, it is.
4 days later, in a hearing outside of the presence of the jury, Jill Lansing, Lyle Menendez's attorney, questioned Donovan about the conversation with Lyle at the Chinese restaurant. And when she asked Donovan the question, in the course of the questioning, Jill asked about the conversation at the Chinese restaurant. And when she asked about what was Lyle's reaction after you told him you had been molested, Donovan Goodreau said on the witness stand, nothing. And Jill Lansing turned very pale. She was shocked because she knew about this conversation from several sources, including myself. But Mr. Goodreau denied that he had ever had that conversation with Lyle Menendez. That evening, on the advice of an attorney, I went to one of the local Los Angeles television stations with the audio tape interview I had recorded in March of 1992, and I played a portion of that tape for the newscast, in effect publishing the information. The next morning, the defense attorneys had videotaped the newscast, and they brought the air check of the newscast into the courtroom, and they confronted Donovan Goodreau on the witness stand, and they asked him if hearing this tape refreshed his memory. And he admitted that that was his voice on the tape, but he didn't recall ever having that conversation with me, even though he and I had discussed this topic a number of other times in the course of our relationship over the 3 years before the trial.